Today on Locked On Red Wings, Sergei Fedorov's number 91 is forever enshrined in the rafters above LCA, and down below, the Red Wings hang on to win a 4-3 overtime winner to tie the Carolina Hurricanes atop the Eastern Conference.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Scotty, the two things happened tonight. Sergei Fedorov's number 91 was retired, and the Red Wings blew a 3-0 lead but hung on to win in overtime against one of the league's best Carolina Hurricanes, Eastern Conference best Carolina Hurricanes, in what was a great game and a terrible game combined into one. Now, I'm not even going to bother asking you what the main storyline of this hockey game is because, I mean, it's the pregame ceremony retiring an all-time great in Sergei Fedorov, and as somebody who was there, Scotty, I can tell you it lived up to every expectation. The Red Wings organization went above and beyond for the presentation for this guy. It was absolutely incredible from start to finish.
Yeah, it's certainly, the production certainly lived up to it, right? I mean, they went all in on this thing, and rightfully so, deservedly so. And it's really cool that the city was finally able to have this after years and years and years and years of begging for it. You know, the city was finally able to celebrate him, and he came back and was so great with everything. Yeah, man. I love the fact that it was all televised as well. I mean, obviously you were there. But I'm glad that it was something that, you know, the network and the broadcast was able to realize the magnitude of the moment. And yeah, the broadcast started at like 4:30 p.m. today. They said they were like, we're not missing anything. We're not taking any chances. Yeah, man. Like everyone coming back, and I mean, even Keats was back on the broadcast side of things for a night. Awesome. Everything about this was just absolutely wonderful and incredibly well done, not only by obviously Fedorov himself, but by the Red Wings organization. So yeah, a really calling it a special night almost doesn't even do it justice. Like I feel, I don't want to get like ahead of myself, but I almost feel like if the rest of the season goes well, that this is kind of like a night you point to and you're like, man, like that was, especially because they won. If they lost, I probably wouldn't be saying this, but because they're able to still walk out of there with 2 points, you know, you kind of point to and you're like, man, that was really, really kind of well, turning point's not the right word. They've already been incredible, but you know what I mean? Like that's kind of a night you can point to and be like, man, there hopefully is a lot of momentum to come out of a night like this, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
After the victory over the Vancouver Canucks, in which Patrick Kane got his 500th career goal, Max Bultman of The Athletic wrote a piece regarding that game, obviously. But one of the things he said in that article that really stood out to me was that moments like that, Kane scoring his 500th goal, and I would bet probably extending that to someone like Sergei Fedorov's number being enshrined and winning in OT fashion like that, really go a long way to kind of give the team a jolt in the doldrums of the season. You're kind of counting down the clock to the Olympic break. For players that aren't going to the Olympics, it's 2.5 weeks off. For guys who are going to the Olympics, it's a minimum of 3 games, maybe, 6 if they make it to the quarterfinals and then on. So getting games like this in the middle of the season and the long stretch, it can go a long way to keep pushing a team forward, give them something to not just fight for, but also like almost like a coattail to ride, if that makes sense.
No, it's an energy
not the right
boost.
way.
I mean, yeah, you're, you know, it's usually when people say like, oh, it's the dog days of the season, that's more of like a August baseball analogy, I feel like. But that's kind of like January,
man.
February hockey a little bit, right? Like you get past American Christmas, as Brian calls it, and you get past kind of the holiday break and the new year, and there's a lot of big games, kind of down the stretch at the end of December. Then you hit the new year, and yeah, it's the lull would be, from the January until like around, either All-Star break traditionally this year, Olympic break, and kind of trade deadline, I guess, falls into that a little bit later as well. It absolutely, stuff like that matters. And that's not to say that like these guys are pros and they get paid a lot of money to do it and they take it seriously. They're ready to go every night. But, you'd be lying to yourself. You didn't think that environment and that atmosphere that was displayed on Monday night wouldn't light a fire under anybody,
right?
Maybe more than usual.
Well, and especially too, like we talked about the production from start to finish, right? Like he comes out and what they were saying was the Corvette that Mike Ilitch brought when he brought Sergei Fedorov over, took him to a car dealership, said, buy yourself a Corvette. Like that was the first thing that happened. And that was supposedly the Corvette. He's riding out on the ice in the Corvette, waving to the fans. It's over the top, but that's Sergei Fedorov. Yeah. And anyone who listened to him for 5 seconds, like, yeah, flashiness wasn't just his personality on the ice. That's who he is.
Right.
He's extraordinarily charismatic in the way he talks.
As the kids say, it's aura, man. Like it really, like I don't know how else to describe it. I say that half tongue in cheek, but like he is a guy. He's so charismatic, but also, I don't know, like somehow stoic at the same. Like there's a presence, right? Like you can tell when he is in a room, and I mean certainly the whole arena felt it, and part of it's just the buildup. Again, I mean this is dang near 20 years in the making at this point. So,
I mean, legends in the building too. Obviously, they had the representatives of every retired player there. So family members of Abel, DeVecchio, everyone going along. Grandson of Terry Sawchuk, had Mark Howe there, Hall of Famer in his own right, representing his father in Gordie Howe. And then you had Nick Lidstrom, of course, too. Steve Yzerman, Ken Daniels, and Mickey Redmond all spoke. All three of them had fantastic, glowing things to say. The roar of the crowd when Steve Yzerman was announced, I mean, was only rivaled by, I think it was only outdone by, of course, Sergei himself. Vladimir Konstantinov.
Konstantinov always gets, deservedly so, always gets, loudest crowd roar of the night for sure.
But I'm not going to lie. I think the loudest roar of the night was when it came time for the national anthem, and the surprise guest of the night was Karen Newman.
The GOAT, the literal GOAT, dude. I love that. You said that off air before we record. That makes me so happy, actually. That is, man, there is so many great things about this franchise and its history, and people like that are a part of it. Like, genuinely, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so much tradition. And I know that, people on the outside and rival teams, like poke fun at some of it and kind of like the old boys club or whatever. But I love stuff like that. It makes me so happy that she got such a big, cheer and round of applause. Deservedly so.
Right. And you know what's funny, too, is like, because nobody knew it was coming. I think part of the reason it got such a strong reaction, I mean, obviously she's beloved in the Red Wings fan base because she was the voice of the Red Wings national anthem throughout all of their successful seasons.
Oh, yeah.
So
the unsuccessful ones, I mean, she was
there.
Doing it for dang near into 3 decades, I think, yeah.
And you could tell how grateful she was to have that opportunity. And she still got her pipes, man. She killed the national anthem. Was fantastic.
The peak performance.
What'd you make of Fedorov's speech? Before he began, he goes, bear with me, I'm not much of a public speaker. I think he kind of was lying to our faces when he said that.
I mean, I don't know, like him embracing and like walking over to Vlad is like what that, like, that'll
right.
pull some tears out of you for sure. But I don't know, the giving credit to all of the Russian Five and was obviously a super cool moment. I mean, talking kind of about like everybody, really. I thought it was very well done, not only again by him, but just the production value of the whole thing. I mean, they really went all out. And to your point, like at the end, he really laid into like I absolutely love it here, and I best fans in the world, whatever, and thank you, love you all, hockey, like putting his hands up in the air and whatever. Like there, I don't think he has a problem public speaking. I think
No.
I think Sergey's doing all right in having the limelight on him. I think he's pretty fine and comfortable in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I thought it was absolutely wonderful, and I thought that the reception from the crowd, kind of made it wonderful.
Yeah, it's just really cool also just to see, one, the walk to the banner, was walking past all the awards he won, the Pearson, the Hart, the Selke, Stanley Cup, to the banner. It gets raised with him and his family. And then that was it. The game got underway. But before the game started, warm-ups happened, and they awarded Fedorov, they gifted Fedorov a custom pair of his white skates.
Oh,
but then
man.
Everyone in warm-ups were wearing decals on their skates to mirror that. It was so sick.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to minimize anything else, and I know it's a really like small, kind of stupid thing to think is like the coolest part of the night, but that might have been my favorite part of the entire night. Not only when Mick Gate showed the shadow box with the white skates in them with the 91 on them during the ceremony, but then when everybody walked out with white skates, dude, I was lit. I was so amped, dude. I was pumped up. That was one of my favorite moments of the entire night, for sure.
I mean, that's the most packed I've seen LCA. That place was between the end of the ceremony and puck drop. I'm like, there's 30 minutes. Like, I'm going to go to the team store and browse some of the stuff they have for the night. And they literally had, it was, how there's that, if you walk in the Meyer entrance, there's that little mannequin that looks like a hockey player, and you can put your head there and take a photo like you're a Red Wing. There was a mass of human beings out of the team store up to that point.
Yeah.
Like it was spilling out of the team store, taking up half the concourse
what we need?
In that area. It was awesome.
We need playoff hockey at that place, dude.
Dude.
Badly. We need playoff hockey at LCA.
I mean this in the nicest way possible. They're not ready for it. LCA is not prepared.
They're gonna
have to. They're gonna have to learn real fast.
They're gonna learn. They're gonna learn.
Because tonight was just a taste.
I mean,
man.
heck,
if playoff hockey starts,
looking at it, they might have a lot of playoff basketball too. So they're gonna have to figure it out right quick.
Scotty, we got to get ahead to a quick break, and we also have a game to talk about as well. So stay tuned to segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Take each game day, and you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets that you like the most. You can make your picks, then apply your profit boosts to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. All right, Scotty. Speak now or forever hold your peace on Fedorov, because we got a Carolina Hurricanes game to talk about.
No, man, I think we pretty much covered everything. I mean, we didn't cover literally everything. We'd be here for 3 hours just like they were. But I think we highlighted all the good stuff. Just an absolutely awesome and special night, and thankfully capped off with 2 points.
2 points to tie the Hurricanes atop the Eastern Conference in points. They technically still have it because of games played. They have games in hand on Detroit. But by points alone, the Red Wings tie the Hurricanes atop the Eastern Conference, beating them 4-3 in overtime. And, I mean, its first 2 periods, I think, are a heck of a lot different than the third period unfolded. The first two periods of that hockey game, Scotty, I thought were pretty good considering the opponent. This is one of those games, kind of like with Dallas, where you look at who this team is, the way they play the game, and you're like, man, there's not many teams in the NHL where I look at the matchup and go, this is probably a loss. The Hurricanes are one of them. And Detroit ripped out to a 3-0 lead. I thought the first period, they gave up quite a few chances, and Gibson was sharp, but they had quite a few chances of their own. And then I thought the second period, they were even better. I think the second period was their best period, as is the trend with them all season long. The second's always their best. But then the third completely fell apart. So I don't even know. I mean, obviously, I kind of just recapped the flow of the game, but I mean, players stand out. Where do you want to lead with this?
Yeah, I mean, I do think the game flow, I mean, is probably going to be the biggest talking point, undoubtedly, of the actual on ice, performance. It's interesting. I was not. I'm sure I'd be singing a little bit of a different tune if they ended up losing. So take it with a grain of salt. But I really didn't find myself as upset as a lot of the fan base seemed to be when they blew the lead. Like, obviously, it's frustrating. You're up 3-0, and you that evaporates in essentially a period. But it kind of felt like the dam was going to break eventually type of situation. Like Carolina, I mean, to your point, the Wings looked good and were matching it, but like they were still getting opportunities all game. This wasn't like they were completely dead in the water for two periods and then the third came along and they got 30 shots all at once. Like they had their opportunities. John Gibson is where I want to start because he was absolutely phenomenal in this game, and I think that's kind of my point. Is like the Carolina had opportunities and honestly high danger opportunities really all game. The reason that the Wings were able to get out to a lead is because Carolina had 0 goals despite outshooting the Wings for a majority of the game and outchancing them because John Gibson was absolutely phenomenal yet again. I thought this was, I mean, you see 3 goals against and again, a lead kind of evaporate late. One of those was shorthanded, not really his fault at all. One was a 5-on-3. Certainly not going to blame him for that. Like, I thought that he was absolutely stellar. I think you said before we hit record, his goal save above expected was still in the positives despite the 3 goals against, which is kind of a testament to that. So yeah, I thought he was stellar. He had a couple of, in the second period specifically, a couple of crazy post to post kind of big moves. He had that one crazy play in the first period where he dove across the ice, belly flopped across the ice and was kind of slow getting up. So I'm glad that he's okay and still put together a great performance.
Yeah. John Gibson, without a shadow of a doubt, is the most notable performer in this hockey game. And he continues his absolute incredible tear here this season. He's played in 27 games this season. Yeah, he's played 27 games, 28 games technically. So his season's been split into 14 and 14 now. The first 13 of those games were the bad part. He's now had a longer track record in this season of great hockey than he has of poor hockey. This was his 15th start in a row since December 1st, 15th game in a row at least, and where he's been very good. He came into this game, I put out a graphic, it was like a 930-something save percentage, and then he goes out there and puts a casual 912 out there while still allowing 3 goals. I mean,
he was peppered. That's my point.
He faced 34 shots in this hockey game total. Let me double check here. Yeah, 34 total shots, made 31 saves. He was unreal. And yeah, goal saves above expected was 2.01. So even though 2.06, so even though he allowed 3 goals, he was supposed to allow over 5. A little over 5. He was lights out. And like you said, I have notes, because I was still taking notes at the game because I'm insane like that. Sider made a rare turnover in the first period that Gibson made a huge save on. ASP made a great diving play, but then there was a scramble in front of the net that Gibson made multiple saves on. Gibson survived another scramble. This is all in the first period. Gibson made a big save in the D zone on a D zone breakdown on Aho. That was probably the 2-on-1 you were talking about. Let's see. Gibson made a great save on Gostisbehere through a screen in the second period. He made another huge save early in the third against Svechnikov. A big save on 71 with the Hurricanes. And then Gibby made a huge save on Ehlers before Gostisbehere tied it on the 5-on-3. I mean, time and time again in this hockey game, he came up big for the Red Wings when they needed it. Like, there were other, like DeBrincat had 3 points, right? Another notable performer. But you don't win this hockey game without John Gibson. And with how shallow the defensive depth is, I mean, that's just
pretty. Yeah, I think that's pretty objective, to be honest.
Right.
Like if you're looking for best performance of the night or like biggest reason why they were able to even get this game into overtime or like even hold, the 3-goal lead there for most of the second period, it was Gibson more than it was the offense. Yeah.
Right. And goals for the Red Wings in this game, right? James Van Riemsdyk scores early on the power play.
He's the greatest ever.
Moritz Seider shoots a puck from the point. James Van Riemsdyk corrals the rebound, tucks it behind Frederik Andersen, as he has done his entire career, eating and just feasting in the net front. Lucas Raymond gets a secondary assist there. Alex DeBrincat picks up the second goal, a beautiful feed from along the boards from Andrew Copp. Then DeBrincat pulls the puck in and around the defender and fires it home early in the second period to make it 2-0. Secondary assist there from Ben Sherratt. And then Albert Johansson, his first goal of the season, comes on a nice assist from Patrick Kane.
That is that's almost one where those passes that are so insane that you look and you're like, wow, like Brian Fisher would have tucked that. Like that's kind of what this kind of felt like. Like great play, like makes a break at the net, right? Like gets, blade on stick and everything. Like blade on puck. Like he did everything right. And I'm not trying to take anything away. That's his first goal of the year. Yeah. Like obviously. Right. It's a great moment, and he played it perfectly. He played it perfectly because Patrick Kane made an unbelievable, like, from the blue line into the crease level pass. Yeah.
And what's funny, too, is because I was at the moment before Patrick Kane made that pass, I was actually annoyed at Alex DeBrincat because he had curled towards the middle and what to me looked like he looked off a shot from the middle lane, high slot area to pass to Patrick Kane along the half wall, who was standing still. And I was like, why would you look off a shot from that perspective? And right as I was thinking that, Patrick Kane makes a picture-perfect feed to Albert Johansson, back door, who buries it. And you're up 3-0. At that point, you're like, okay, Red Wings got this in the bag. Well, the third period had other plans. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, in segment 3. Stay tuned for more from Locked On Red Wings. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way, and there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. You're going to love how simple Q makes everything. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing ever gets missed. Everyone sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal. It works right from your phone or computer, and you can even keep your existing number. It's no surprise Quo is the #1 rated phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free. Plus, get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNHL. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNHL. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. All right, Scotty.
I wish there were no missed calls in this game tonight.
Oh, bang! Let's start talking about the third period collapse. The Red Wings are a second period team, and again in this game, the second period was by far their best. But they have a tendency, as most teams in the NHL do, to go into protect the lead mode in the third period.
Park the bus,
and I
baby.
think it was a combination of that, and you're playing the Carolina Hurricanes, who are the best puck possession team in the NHL. We talked about it in yesterday's preview. The most shot attempts at 5-on-5 for, and the fewest shot attempts at 5-on-5 against. Carolina woke up. The regular season beast that is the Hurricanes woke up in the third, and the Red Wings cannot defend their way out of that. They scored a goal. Let's see, double check on who that was. That first goal was Jackson Blake on the power play. Give them enough power play opportunities. They're going to bury one. They did. Seth Jarvis. This is the one where you really felt the tides begin to turn. Short-handed 2-on-1 coming back the other way. Seth Jarvis scores. And it's 3-2 with 13 minutes left in the game. You're going, oh no. 1-goal lead. They have all the momentum. And then disaster strikes.
They go 5-on-3.
The Stripes in this game decided that they were going to call the biggest phantom call I have ever seen on Lucas Raymond. It was bad. Yeah. And then on top of that, that led to Ben Sherratt on the ensuing PK taking a high sticking. One doesn't lead to the other, or one leads to the other. If Raymond doesn't get called on a phantom penalty, Ben Sherratt probably doesn't accidentally high stick a guy trying to defend a penalty kill. 5-on-3, Shane Gostisbehere rifles one home. Now, I told you at the start of the show that I think the loudest the crowd got was when Karen Newman made a surprise appearance. The loudest LCA got was the "Ref, you suck" chant on that Raymond goal, or that Raymond penalty, and the subsequent goal. It was raucous in LCA, man.
Good.
Just brutal.
Good.
And, I mean, a lot of it, the Red Wings have a lot of the blame in this, right? Because you can't play prevent defense against the best puck possession team in the NHL. In modern NHL, where so much goal scoring occurs, a 3-0 lead can evaporate so fast when the tides turn.
Yeah, and it does. I mean, we see that all the time. I mean, they even had earlier, I don't know, a few weeks ago, Ken and Mick even made a joke where they were like, oh, worst lead in hockey is no longer 2 goals. It's almost 3 in this era. Yeah. I mean, truly,
it's only half a joke.
Right. We have that, we see that stuff happening all the time. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Raymond call was brutal. Yeah, I think you probably get one back a little bit in overtime and you call it a day.
Oh, and that's exactly where I'm not super upset about it. Andrew Copp,
dude, I don't know how it wasn't called.
Well, you know why it wasn't called.
Well, yeah, Bettman made a call. Okay, he said you're giving the Wings a win on Fedorov night. No, but I mean, seriously, it was a. Yeah, I would not be happy if that's how I lost a game if I was on the losing side of that, for sure.
They say 2 lefts don't make a right, right? That was one of those instances where referees were like, we messed up really bad and we basically handed Carolina a tie game here, forcing overtime. And so they're like, the only way we can make this right is to not call this cross-check. And it's like, that doesn't technically make it right, because now you've just pissed off both fan bases.
2 calls wrong, but
but we are the beneficiary of the second call that ended up winning the game. So I'm not complaining in this.
No, we're going to take our 2 points and go home. But
right.
Certainly noteworthy. Certainly noteworthy.
The second line, or I guess the components of the second line, provided a lot of offense in this game. Alex DeBrincat, as previously mentioned, walks away with 3 points. He got the secondary, he scored a goal, had the primary assist on Andrew Copp's, and then the secondary on Albert Johansson. He's been an absolute tear. He's got 24 goals now on the season, well on his way to 40. If he keeps up this pace through the rest of the year, he's been fantastic for the Detroit Red Wings. But Andrew Copp, third career overtime winner. I'm really happy for him because he continues to just hustle in these games and feels like a pretty competent second-line center.
Yeah, he's been valuable, man. There's really no denying it at this point.
I do think, however, though, Scotty, the best line the last 2 games was a line that has yet to score a goal. And the Michael Rasmussen, Elmer Soderblom, and Mason Appleton line. in this hockey game, they were noticeable every single time they took to the ice. Obviously, in this game in which the third period was just a disaster class, and the Red Wings, while I thought they played pretty well given the opponent, weren't necessarily dominating the pace of play the first two periods either. I think they were their best line. 9 shot attempts for, 9 shot attempts against for 50% share at 5-on-5, that line. And I honestly, Rasmussen played great, hit a post in this game. Mason Appleton's noticeable out there. But I really feel like Elmer Soderblom drives a lot of that.
Dog. He's a dog, man. It's to the point where, like, we can save maybe, like, the big picture stuff for an off day later this week. But I'm, like, getting to the point where I want to see him not only not be healthy scratched, but I would honestly be in favor of him moving up in the lineup. There's a lot of – I shouldn't say a lot. There's a few, young players, young forwards who – like, just haven't been producing as much as we, like, want them to be. And Elmer, while, I mean, as you mentioned, they didn't produce any goals in the last 2 games. He is at the forefront of that line being so effective. And I feel like there are other lines that could certainly use a player of that style, in that top 9. But, yeah, I agree with you. I thought the fourth line was great.
Well, and his reach and his hands have always been just, like, the big 2 things.
Right,
and they came in a lot to play in this game as well. A lot of times I feel like the Hurricanes were just like, oh, that's, going to come to me along the boards. And, his 10-foot reach just picked it up, and he was able to turn it around. He made some really nice moves in the offensive zone a couple times. One pulled himself in nice and tight on Frederik Andersen, almost buried one himself. And then he's the only player on the Red Wings, Scotty, who had a Corsi share, shot attempt share of 50% or better. Only one. 9 shots against, shot attempts against, 9-4.
To be fair, not too many teams walk out of it looking too much different against Carolina, but yeah.
True. Very fair. But I really struggle to... The Red Wings had a good problem, but I don't understand why Elmer Soderblom was a healthy scratch, because I thought I've liked his game pretty much all season long, and right now he's looking even better, so he's looking pretty safe in the lineup at the moment, even though they're not scoring, to be honest.
I want to give credit to Raymond, too. I mean, we mentioned the offense and the assists earlier, but he was like one of the most aggressive forecheckers on the team, especially in the third period when, the collapse was happening, which is ill timing, but was everywhere in overtime, too, was skating his head off. So I want to give credit to him.
Right. And then the final thing I want to say about this game is not a good thing, but I mean, this game wasn't all sunshine and rainbows anyways. The top line of Larkin, Finney, and Kasper got absolutely caved in this game. 3 shot attempts for, 21 against.
I mean, I'm to the point where we play Boston tonight as people listen to this. That cannot be the top line tonight. I don't even care. I'm over it. I appreciate, like, the... you're trying to get Raymond going. You're trying to get Kasper going. Like, 2 birds, 1 stone. I'm kind of over it. That line is never, at least in this season, is not going to be an offensive producer. And they certainly were not good enough defensively in this game to cancel out the fact that they didn't produce any offense. So.
Well, and you're trying to line that line up against the other team's toughest opponents, and they're getting, like, heavily outplayed. And at a certain point, I mean, if Kasper's going to figure it out, it's just kind of on him. They've done everything. They've jumped over the moon to try and get him going, and it's just not working. A big picture
conversation to be had about his playing time, legitimately.
Right. It's beyond sophomore slump at this point, which is really sad to say, because I love Marco Kasper, and I do think he's a lot better than what he's showing this season.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm not giving up on his career.
It's been difficult.
Yeah, I'm just saying this season, like, you got to play... You gotta put the best lineup out there every night. And so I think there's probably a question to be had there. But on to Boston with 2 points. We'll take it.
Well, on to Boston, except one more negative thing. Something that I mentioned before. I didn't
realize you wanted to just, like, rattle off 10 negative things before the end of the show.
It was 2. Axel Sandin-Pellikka had the fewest minutes played of any Detroit Red Wing in this hockey game at just 9 minutes and 31 seconds. It was very noticeable throughout the game, Sherratt would step on the ice and it'd be JBD or Albert Johansson with
Sherratt
him.
was out there with everybody, dude.
It's getting to a point with how they're managing their minutes, his minutes, that you're wondering what is the plan here. Because if you're not comfortable playing him in even a third pair capacity, then why is he here?
Well, you also can't just double shift Ben Sherratt every game the rest of the season.
Right.
So, yeah.
So two things need to probably happen. You got to figure out what you want to do with Axel Sandin Pellikka, because you're not helping him when you're limiting him this much.
Trade for a defenseman.
And that was the other thing. That was bullet point number 2. There's a few defensemen on the market. I don't know if you guys have been listening.
At least one. Minimum.
Right.
One.
With Dougie Hamilton and Rasmus Anderson. And I don't know how I feel about Rasmus Anderson, just because he needs an extension and the market for him is going to be paying a lot. But, I mean, Dougie Hamilton has 2 years left on his deal.
Dude, I
wouldn't mind him.
I'm down to start getting a little bit more aggressive, even with some rentals, especially if you think you might have a chance to re-sign him.
This year, with this defensive core, they need to acquire, even if it's a third pair defenseman that you know is going to be stabilizer on that third pair, because the third pair is really hasn't been very impressive either, even though they had a good game in this one. But.
Like, I know that's super easy for me to say from like my apartment, but
just do both, dude.
Right, like that's really easy for some idiot like me to say, but like I really think that if you can go out and get a legitimate like top 4 defenseman to make the blue line have a higher ceiling, and then you also can get maybe a little bit more of a lower end, slightly cheaper option to put at the third pair. I don't think that's like some crazy ridiculous ask. And I think that it would make the team significantly better coming out of the deadline. Yeah.
I tend to agree with you. Scotty, I got more I want to say, but I'm going to have to save it for another time because we are well over on this episode. Red Wings play the Boston Bruins in Boston tonight. That's a TNT game, HBO Max game. So second half of a back-to-back. That's the name of the game this season with the Olympics.
Talbot?
Oh, 100%. It's going to be Talbot, especially after how many shots that Gibson faced.
For sure, Talbot. Yeah, that came off as a question. It wasn't meant to be. I mean, we see Boston quite a bit. Really good offense this year. Good team. Oh, they're the most. They have the most penalty minutes in the entire NHL as we record this. So it may be a chance for your power play again. That's all I got. Yeah.
All right. See you tomorrow.
We ball.
Word. We do ball. We put the buffs on. Where are they at? Put the buffs on.
I don't have buffs, dude. These are plastic sunglasses.
Nobody had to know that. You could have just.
No one thinks these. You're ridiculous, dude. No one thinks. We'll see you tomorrow. Golly.
Try to end it on excitement, and he just has to.
You ended on 33 negatives. That's what you wanted to end the show on.
And I wanted to end on one more positive by hyping us up, but same time, same place.
Out of here. Thank you. Golly.
Your team every day.